Is streaming facing the end of binge watching and the rise of weekly drops? Get ready to blast off into the world of entertainment with Pop Culture Planet. Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Pop Culture Planet, a video podcast centered around diverse voices and representation in Hollywood. I'm your host, Kristen Maldonado, a TV and film critic, content creator, and champion for inclusion. And today I am very excited to be joined by Tessa Smith of Mama's Geeky and Leah Rydel of Geekly Goods to talk about the future of streaming. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, what's up?
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And now to kick off the show, we'd love to know just a little bit more about you guys. So maybe Tessa, if you want to start off and tell us a little bit about your career and what you're up to.
Yeah, I started as like a review blogger, and then I was like, I like entertainment way more than like all this random stuff. So I'm just going to completely rebrand myself and became Mama's Geeky because, you know, everything I do is totally geek related. I mean, not just like Marvel, DC, comic book stuff, but video games and all that sort of stuff, television shows, movies. So what you can find over on my channel is a lot of movie reviews, trailer reactions, video game, live gaming, video game reviews, interviews with celebrities. Some of the cool things I've done is like I've been to a couple of Marvel world premieres, which is always fun and always a good time. Can't wait for premieres to start back up again. And I've got some really exciting stuff that I can't even talk about yet coming up next week. So you guys will have to check that out.
Very exciting. And you mean Mama's Geeky. You're a mom. Can you tell us a little bit about your family?
Yeah, I have two girls, 8 and just turned 10. They're just absolutely adorable. And my youngest one has decided this is what she wants to do. So she's made her own YouTube channel. She just reacted to the What If trailer today and the Encanto trailer. And she's very animated. She takes after me with her, like, you know, I'm going to be emotional. They're on my channel doing the reaction for Endgame and they cry like the whole time. It's been Leo knows, he's seen enough videos of them, but,
that's awesome. They're following the footsteps.
They are. They're going to take my job one day. I know it. They're going to boot me right out.
That is too funny. And now, Leo, what about you?
Oh, man. First of all, Tessa, man, you got some great content, so definitely check her out. But yeah, I started out, honestly, reading comic books, manga when I could walk, and watching movies as well. Like I'm a huge nerd. I've been a geek all my life. And back in 2016, I decided to start a Facebook live show with one of my best friends, Axel. And we just kind of did like this weekly live show where we talked about movies, comic books, and things on a weekly basis. And I kind of fell in and out of the content creation journey till about 2018, where I decided, you know what? I like making videos. I like talking about this stuff. So might as well make a YouTube channel. That's how Geekly Goods was born. And ever since, I've been making videos and trailer reactions. I've been doing reviews. I've just been talking all these things geek. And it's been a pleasure to meet people like you, Tessa, to talk about this stuff as well. And just honestly diving more into TV shows, diving a little bit more deeper into movies. I went to school for music, so I didn't study film at all, but I really like studying and dissecting like the latest movies and talking about them. And as you can see, huge Marvel fan. Love me some Marvel. But yeah, I mean, I'm just big fan of content, big fan of consuming and creating content. So here I am.
That's awesome. I mean, you mentioned music. So do you play any instruments?
I do. I play guitar, piano, bass guitar. I can play a ukulele a little bit, trumpet, and tambourine.
So basically a music prodigy.
Ain't that good.
That is awesome. That is so cool. It's so great learning more about you guys and finding out, just things we didn't know before. I had no idea that you were, a big musician. That's awesome. So let's get into our main conversation for today, which is talking about the future of streaming. I think we all kind of grew up in a time when like cable was king, but then like Netflix, it felt like Netflix came in and changed everything, right? Especially with shows like House of Cards and Orange is the New Black and sort of introducing that binge model. How did you guys feel when that kind of started coming into just like the space? Anybody want to take it first?
Go ahead, Tessa.
Yeah, so to be honest, binging started and I kind of hated it at first. Like I was like, what is this? Like I like waiting a week because also time consuming. It's like you become obsessed with a show or you want to watch it and you're like, I don't have 6 hours to sit down and watch this whole thing right now, you know? So when binging started, I was like, why are we going down this route? I don't like it. And then I dived right in and started loving it. And now I'm the other way around again. So I'm all over the place, but I was excited not happy at first and then excited, I'd say probably maybe a year after, as I started to like settle into it, getting used to it, I guess is the word, right? You get used to it. You get spoiled. That's the word.
Yeah. Well, because it's like when it was first coming out, it was like this idea of like, I don't know, making a ginormous movie and then cutting it up into little pieces so that you can watch it all at once. It's like, that's crazy. And now it's like, I don't even want to go back. You know, I remember watching Orange is the New Black and being like, this is crazy that I could just watch all this at once. Whoa. What about you, Leo? How is it for you?
Yeah, I mean, I was so used to the week to week, back, waiting 1 week for the next episode to come out, next episode of Dragon Ball Z, tune in on the next week. And then when they started the binging model, it was just kind of like out of nowhere. When they started with Orange is the New Black and House of Cards and started with those series, it was like, wait, you mean to tell me I can watch a whole season right now? So kind of like you, Tessa, it took me by surprise because I'm not used to that at all, but it was really easy to get into. I didn't really have a problem getting into, especially when Stranger Things came along. And it was just so easy to sit there and consume episode after episode after episode and just get lost in a rabbit hole. And then you go from Stranger Things to something else. I binged the whole Sons of Anarchy series on Netflix. It's just like, it was this access to a treasure we haven't had before. And so it was it was a fun change in my opinion. Like I welcome the change. But a little part of me did kind of miss that week to week, waiting and waiting, getting that little tease at the end of the episode, coming back next week. It was like a little bittersweet, but maybe a little more sweet than bitter.
I think the cliffhangers mean more when you have to wait. Because if you get a cliffhanger at the end of an episode and you're like, oh, now I can just start the next episode and now I know like what happened. You know what I mean?
Not to mention, like, sometimes Netflix and Disney Plus and then be kind of putting some spoilers in the thumbnail. You'd be like, come on, man.
I know, right? Because you see it next on the list and you're like, well, now
yeah. And Netflix does, like, the synopsis and it's like, please don't, like.
You try not to read it.
Come on.
Your body, like, starts to read it and you're like, no.
It's so funny, though, because now I feel like it's, like, I mean, now we're starting to see, different versions of launches for shows and movies and things, but like I felt like first of all, back in the day when cable was king, it was like an event to go sit and watch something at like on Thursdays at whatever time. It was like, okay, you can't miss this. They had like those Thursday blocks or Friday blocks for different shows and different channels, and it was like a whole event. Like you had to watch then, if you wanted to watch like TRL or whatever, like you had to be there right then, at that exact time. And then, once we got into binging, it's sort of like, it feels like it coincides with like the age of the internet where like people have short attention spans now, where like there are times now when I'm like, okay, I could binge this entire show in 2 days, or if I want to watch, let's say like Charmed or something on the CW, oh my gosh, I have to wait a whole week. I don't even remember what happened anymore. I can't even focus now because I'm like, what happened the week before? Does the story even like feel like it's making sense to me now? Because you're so used to being able to sit and just watch the whole thing and be like, okay, that was one compact story. Now I feel like I'm having a harder time when they take breaks in between things. I'm like, oh gosh, what happened here? I need to go back and rewatch that episode or something. Do you guys feel like that whole losing your ability to like watch things like short term? Like you're just like, oh, I'm in that internet age of just like, let's get it all now.
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy now to just cut a show off and go to another one. Or, I mean, if you don't like a movie or something, it's so easy to just stop. It's different from being in a movie theater or watching cable television when you're scrolling down the channels and you're like, okay, I got The Simpsons, but I got the new episode of Game of Thrones or whatever. Season 8, I'm not liking it, yada, yada. By that time, I could change. But back when you were watching cable TV and movies, you can't change. You can't just you can just get up and walk out, but it's something about that option of having so much that it's just easy to I can back out. And like you were saying, it's easy to want to watch 2 or 3 things even at a time. Like just, okay, boom, I'm gonna do one episode of this, I'm going next to this. Okay, let me rewatch Loki again. It's just all there and so available that it's easy to get into a spell where you're just bouncing all over. And you know what's crazy is it's like the more options you have, the harder it is to choose. You'll be scrolling down. I don't know about you guys, but some weekends I'd be scrolling down Netflix looking, or maybe Disney Plus or another app, like, okay, what can I watch? And then I just end up closing out the app and going somewhere else.
Because there's too much.
There's so much. Wasn't there a movie or something where they were like, there's one day in the future, there'll be so many channels and nothing to watch, you know?
Yeah.
There's just too many options. Yeah.
I try to tell my kids, like, you don't realize how good you guys have it, by the way. Like, you used to, like, if you wanted to watch this show, you had to, like you were saying, like, it's an event. You have to go and get ready to sit there. I mean, it was Seventh Heaven, that we had family night, and my mom and my sister and I would sit and watch Seventh Heaven every whatever night it was. I don't remember. But, you know, it was like we'd have dinner and then we'd go watch that, and it would be our show that we would do. So it's crazy because I try to tell my kids, like, you don't get it. You don't get it.
Right. It was like sitting, you know, coming after school, I would go watch Dragon Ball Z, and it would be like, oh my God, a new DBZ's on tonight, but it's Monday nights only. Every other night, it's either a repeat or it's not on. Mm-hmm. And it's just it's so hard to kind of transition back into that. But I mean, some of these shows have been pulling it off.
Yeah, which is what we're doing now. So, you know, there were definitely shows on cable, I think, that still have been, you know, must-watch event type of shows, like I was going to say Guardians of the Galaxy. No, like
I'll take
Game of Thrones. Like Game of Thrones. I'll take a Guardians of the Galaxy show.
Yeah, let's do it. People
and have to watch, and it's a big event, and everyone's tweeting along and you know, making it a whole big thing. But after that, I feel like there's very few shows I feel like on cable now that like you have to you can't miss, because everything just goes on streaming after. And then now we see Disney Plus is doing weekly episode releases to try to make these episodes last longer, the conversations last longer. I'm curious what you guys think about that. You know, having going from the Netflix model of, you know, putting out a whole season and binging it versus now seeing what Disney Plus is doing where they're putting out weekly episodes. And also just that idea of like, is this working because we're going back to the old times of, you know, weekly episodes, like we want something simpler, or is it working because these are iconic franchises? This is Star Wars, this is, you know, Marvel, this is High School Musical, this is things that already have like a life, you know. So I'm curious what you guys think about that.
I love it because I love the conversations that I have with my friends. And, you know, we have this group chat on Twitter and we're like, what do you think is this? I have to mute it every Wednesday morning. But then when I can unmute it after I've watched it, you know, we get into like, we're not supposed to theorize after WandaVision, but we do it anyway. You know, you get into all those conversations, and I love being able to the conversations. I think it gives you more, like if we sat and we all binged a season of Loki in one day, great, we'll talk about it for 5 minutes and we're done. Like it probably wouldn't even last the week, to be honest with you, unless you're talking about maybe what does this mean for the future of the MCU, but we're not talking about Loki or we're not talking about WandaVision, you know? We'd be moving on to what this means for the future. And I really like the conversations, and I feel like it's, especially over a pandemic, to be honest with you, it's connecting me with people again and that conversation. So I love it.
Yeah. Now, do you think that, go ahead, Leo.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way. I love it. The conversation lasts. You know, we can all attest when Stranger Things season 3 came out, it was kind of like, yeah, season 3 was awesome. And it was that one weekend and then maybe 2. And then it was like, all right, we're on to something else. Okay, what's coming up on Netflix next? All right, next week. Okay, we got Cobra Kai. Now we can slow down and dissect media week to week. And this is such an interesting model to bring back in the digital age, I think, because back when we were growing up and it was cable TV, we didn't have Twitter and Instagram and YouTube and all this stuff to go chat and have a conversation about this stuff with. But now that we have it, there are millions of people around the world talking about this stuff. And I think it's a brilliant idea to bring it back now. And what you were saying about tentpole franchises, yeah, like I think that actually has a big thing to do with it, especially if you're telling us 20 some movies after. Marvel is actually making TV shows now. Disney is taking Star Wars and making TV shows. Absolutely. I think that has a big like part of it because it already has such a massive fan base that you take that formula, put it into a weekly series, people are going to be talking about it non-stop. I mean, Tessa knows I still talk about WandaVision almost every day. So
I think a lot of people do.
Yeah, it has its lasting effects.
Yeah, I think it does a really great job with keeping the longevity. I mean, I think that, you know, what I like is that there is the opportunity to like, for certain shows decide to do that, and maybe certain shows decide to do a different plan. You know, maybe it would make more sense, you know, to do these weekly drops for shows that are big franchises, but maybe there are other smaller franchises that they're trying to, you know, bring about, and maybe those are just, you know, put out the whole season, see how it does. But it's interesting what you mentioned about Stranger Things, because I feel like maybe when that show first came out was when it was still like, you know, streaming was still very new, because I remember, you know, Stranger Things drops and then everyone's like dressed as Stranger Things characters for Halloween. Everyone's talking about Eggos. Everyone's obsessed with 11. But I'm like, do we see that now for a lot of shows? I think it really like depends. Like that's a show that, you know, dropped all at once, but it did have a big impact. And I don't know if we always, you know, if we've really been able to see a lot of that now, where like, you know, I don't know, are people dressing up as characters from Never Have I Ever? Not really.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know, it's interesting to see, like, is that because it was like at the height of streaming, or is that like just because of the type of franchise it is, or the type of, you know, success that it had? Like, what made that successful? Was it because of the streaming? Was it, you know, it's a lot of.
I think with Netflix, it's just kind of like if it hits the sauce, it hits the sauce. You know, it's kind of one of those things where it really depends on the content now. I think Stranger Things was an example of when, yes, the binge model was at the height of it. So they released the show and it just blew up on streaming, and they probably had no idea it was going to take off like this. But I think now there's so much competition that you really do have to be like a Stranger Things or like Orange is the New Black to really come out and just be so bingeable. Or a recent example is Invincible. Now that is a comic book, but still, like that was a property that barely anybody knew unless you were really a big comic book reader, and people are still talking about it. I mean, it's all over. So really just depends, I think, on the media itself.
Yeah, I think it depends a lot on like the writing and and it's gonna hit. Like you said, there's no way to really know what's gonna hit, but if it hits, then you get a core group of people talking about it, and that spreads and that spreads and that spreads and that spreads, and you get the shock value. Like with Invincible, you think the way they ended episode 1, that helped massively, because in the comics that doesn't happen for like till like comic book 10 or something, or 12. So they knew we need something big in this first episode, and I think that is what got a lot of people talking.
It's that shock factor, you know. And I actually have a question for both of you. How would you feel if Stranger Things converted to a week-to-week model?
I want it.
Like you don't?
I was thinking about that. I was thinking about that. I think that would probably be a good idea for the type of show it is, especially because you've already seen its success. I think to have it drop weekly would honestly be probably a good idea.
Yeah.
And maybe, I mean, I wonder if that would be the plan potentially in the future, because Netflix is starting to work on different hybrid models of releasing shows. So like the reality shows like The Circle and Love is Blind, they decided to do like batch episodes each week over the course of a month. So it'd be like 3 episodes and then another 3 episodes. So you kind of get a little bit of both, like the binging, but also the weekly aspect of it. And so maybe they'll start doing, I mean, really like, this is all like untapped territory. So like people could do honestly whatever they want. They could be like, yeah, we're going to drop 1 episode. Now we're going to drop 3. Now we're going to drop 1, or we'll do the whole, you know, the whole season at once, or we'll do weekly, or you could really do anything. So maybe that could be an opportunity of like, okay, Stranger Things, we'll drop it weekly. Okay, we saw Bridgerton did incredible. Drop it weekly. Yeah. You know, things like that. Like when you're seeing something successful.
I think Netflix. I think this will be the one Netflix. I think Stranger Things will be the one Netflix starts with. I think it's the smartest choice for them to jump into that, you know, once a week. And I'd say 90% chance they do it. I think, honestly.
And I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but yeah, like the Fear Street doing that first and just kind of taking a chance, testing the waters a little bit. Very brilliant idea by Netflix execs. I think that was supposed to be in theaters, but
I think it was, but
I think that's a great example of trying something different that people haven't done before, but that also keeps the longevity of a movie. Now we're talking about Fear Street for 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks, because the hype of the beginning of it and the end. So we're talking about it for a couple weeks now, and it's a movie. And now you got to make 3 movies, which maybe who knows if they did one, and maybe if it didn't perform well, you wouldn't see another one for another 3 or 4 years potentially. So you got the 3 movies. It feels it kind of works with that Netflix vibe. It feels like you're binging it, but but it is a weekly drop. I think that was really unique of them to do that. And I wonder if more films will do that and maybe put more money into making multiple of something if they know that it could potentially do well.
I think it's a smart way to do it, honestly. And then we were talking about it a little bit before this, but the fact that you've got a cohesive story, yes, but then it leads into more. And then you get a cohesive story, but it leads into more in movie format is so good. And I think it's smart to do it that way. Film them all, have them ready, get ready to drop them out there. So that way it doesn't give people time to forget about it. Because even if a movie does well and then they decide to do a sequel, it's going to be at least a year, at least. And then sometimes people oh, I kind of forgot about that and I don't care anymore. And that can happen.
Oh, that's such a good point. Yeah, it's a good promotional vehicle because then it'll still be in people's minds and they can get through a trilogy of movies in 3 weeks. Have y'all ever thought we would be saying this 3 movies, 3 weeks?
No. And it's the perfect vehicle, I feel because everyone loves horror. Not everyone, but most people like horror. Some people hate horror, but there's that thrill. It's the nostalgia. I grew up reading those Fear Street books. I am the biggest R.L. Stine stan. So already love that. You got actors in there that are young, rising actors. A lot of Stranger Things actors in there. So it's really the perfect. You got a lot of Netflix talent in there. You got the nostalgia. What's not to love? You're doing that 3 weeks. It's bingeable, but it's also kind of doing that weekly drop that will keep you hooked. It's kind of the perfect situation.
Yeah, and R.L. Stine's a big name. So going back to what you were saying about big franchises, that's a big Goosebumps, Fear Street. This is a good, perfect series to do it for.
That's true. So do you think then that the reason that works is because we know the name Fear Street, or do you think that it would have worked with something else?
I think a trilogy of horror movies is going to work no matter what. I really do, especially horror. If it was a drama, people are going to be if you don't get into the story, you might not care to go on. With horror, I think anyone who's a big horror fan is whoa, they just had all these crazy, insane, bloody, gory deaths. What else are they going to give us? I can't wait for more,
I think also maybe what kind of draws people to this, because I don't know if a lot of people actually know as much about Fear Street. I feel it's a little bit more of underrated for R.L. Stine. Everyone knows Goosebumps, but I know a lot of people.
Only the cool kids stuck around for Fear Street.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm not cool, y'all. I don't know no Fear Street.
I think the actors, there's a lot of great names in the project as well. So I think that also helps to be oh, Stranger Things actors are in this now. That brings in that whole fandom,
which is smart for Netflix.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Now, a show I think it wouldn't work for is You. That Netflix original.
I don't know.
No, a week to week. I wouldn't want a week to week for You. I want to get through all of that.
I think it's so traumatizing. It's so traumatizing. I don't think I'd want a week to week of that either.
Right. It's so intense. I would do it because I'd want to see it all. I would actually. Because I'm a content creator, I would do it. If I wasn't, I probably would wait and binge it all once it's out.
Yeah, because Joe, I don't know if I need new episodes of him every week causing trouble.
I know.
I wonder if that's the other thing is, for us, we kind of all have to watch or want to watch these things anyway. But for the regular viewer, you could just wait till it all comes out and binge watch it then. Hopefully the project will still come back if not a lot of people are watching it at the time. But I think we're a little bit of a rare situation where we'll watch it anyway because we want to talk about it or review it. So yeah, that's interesting to think about too.
My husband he hates this week-to-week model. Absolutely hates it. Like, he has not watched The Mandalorian yet because of one thing he said. He goes, I'm not going to watch it till it's all done. And then I told him, I go, well, it's going to be more than one season. And then he goes, well, forget it. I'm going to wait till it's done. And completely, they're not making any more. And he's doing it just to be stubborn, to be honest with you. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if he's actually watched it and not told me. But at this point, it's just, I'm like, you're going to wait until they're entirely, like, there's no more Mandalorian to watch it?
He's like up at 2 a.m. binging Mando episodes. Like,
probably. And he's a huge Boba fan, so I'm like, I can't wait for you to get into this. I know.
God. That is hilarious. Honestly, though, like, I can see why the weekly works, but also, like, I just want to watch the thing out. You know, I can't. I'm very impatient. I'm like, I just want to watch it all. I want to know.
Yeah.
So
from our standpoint,
streaming?
The thing is, it's a lot of work, though, for us if we have to sit and watch a whole season.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, you guys. I mean, especially, I feel like you guys do a lot of shows weekly. I have a hard time keeping up. I have 2 shows, and I'm like, oh God. One of them is a live stream because I can't edit that much all the time. I'll die. But yeah, for you guys, what is that like work-wise, to have to watch so many shows and do so many reactions weekly?
It's easier when they only drop one versus the whole season. I'll tell you that much.
Amen.
I can't imagine. Can you imagine if they dropped like a whole season of Loki or WandaVision? Leo, we would have died. I wouldn't have slept for a week.
So any of our subscribers would have just been seeing episode 1 reaction, episode 2 reaction, episode 3, like back to back to back to back. And yeah, like the weekly model, I'm like, thank God.
I know.
Thank God.
I can't imagine because I do my live watch along, which is crazy. And then I have to edit that into like a reaction with the like video, because you can't watch it live with the video. You'll get cut off. So for copyright. So it's like, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
This is much better.
That's so funny because I feel the opposite. I feel like too much pressure to get a video out each week because there's so many shows to try to cover. Like if I was trying to do like, right now I do Charmed and High School Musical. If I was doing that and Loki and, whatever other one, and then trying to do the weekly, do the full season ones, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'd rather just watch a full season of something and then do one video.
That's what I do for ones that they'll give us screeners. Like, like I got Ted Lasso season 2. So watching that, and then I'm like, okay, I'll just do one video, even though they're releasing that weekly. I don't know. Did they do that last time?
I think it was all at once.
I think it was all, I watched it all at once, but I might've been late to the party. But because they all have different embargo dates on all the different episodes when they gave them to us. So I'm like, well, I'm going to do like you can do a season 1 or season 2, like, overall. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm not trying to review every episode of Ted Lasso. Like, I love Ted Lasso, but like, come on.
It's like,
how do
you guys decide what you're going to do a weekly review of and what you're going to do like a season?
I had a conversation with Leo about this not too long ago with the Bad Batch. I did the first couple and then no one cared. And I said, I don't have the time to do this anymore. I'll watch it when I can. And then I also don't feel the pressure to get up on Friday morning and watch it right away and try to be up there. And I'm just going to wait and I'll do a full review when it comes to the end there. And which I don't even know. I think I've only watched 7 or 8 episodes now.
You're more than me.
Like, because nobody cared. Like, the first few were big, and then so I kind of take my audience, I'm not going to do all this work and have 100 people watch it, if that, and then I realized they don't care.
Yeah, I kind of base it off of the conversation on social media. I'm like, okay, is this really like a trending topic, or can I, because same with Bad Batch, Tessa, it's like by the end I'll just go ahead and review that by the end. But like shows like Loki, obviously, Superman and Lois is really big right now on the week-to-week stuff.
I gotta catch up on that.
Oh my god, y'all, the CW, I know they have a reputation, but it is it's good.
I watched 4 episodes. How many are there?
Gosh. We're on episode, I think 13 is coming back next week. They had to take all these production pauses because of COVID, so they've been like on a couple breaks. But yeah, it's the best the CW has to offer right now. But and then there's like Bad Batch, which absolutely no one is talking about. Like, I mean, Tessa, we're both in Star Wars circles. It's like nobody's really it's kind of like, oh, maybe I'll wait, or oh, I'm 3 episodes behind. Like I think I got 4 episodes in whenever Ming Na Wen shows up, and then I was just kind of like, oh, okay.
I remember I messaged you. I'm like, how is this going? Is it worth doing a reaction? You're like, no.
I think I got like 25 views, and I was just like, well, nobody's talking about it, so.
Sometimes, it's like, maybe this is not the thing for my channel at this time. Like, I found that I do well with more young adult types of content, which is what I watch anyway. So I do the Charmed and High School Musical, and I tried doing WandaVision because I really loved the season. I did, but you know what? It's so much work. I was trying to do like, looking at Easter eggs and stuff. I did like 1 or 2 videos. Nobody cared. I was like, this is a lot of work for me to try to get this when nobody's caring. So I will just enjoy it myself and not have to, make a video about it. And, sometimes I feel like that's what happens. If
it's nice when you get to
watching, just enjoy
something like that, though. But I will say too, with things like WandaVision, Loki, all that, there's a lot of competition out there. Because like that's the thing, everyone's covering it. So if you don't get it out, and even if you do get it out early enough, there's just it's such a saturated market that it's like you have to have the right audience and the right YouTube analytic at the moment that sends you algorithm, whatever, that sends you at the right spot at the right time. And so, for me, I've always my channel really started with a Marvel reaction. So I think I built that audience. And so that has helped with Marvel stuff. But there's other stuff that I'm like, see people do so well on, and I cover it. And it's in that geekdom, and people don't care. So, or my people don't care, I guess I should say.
See, and that's the thing. It's like, I can testify, it's crazy. So I had really good numbers for WandaVision, really good for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and now Loki, it's kind of like, And I think it's like you were saying, it's just because of competition, but like, I love Marvel, so it's like part of that is just me being passionate about the content and just saying like, you know what, I'm gonna suck it up because I love this and do it. And so there's kind of this weird in between with Loki. What I'm really nervous for is Cobra Kai, because I got a pretty decent little fan base of Cobra Kai fans, and it's all at once. So I'm just like, oh man, I think I'm gonna just binge all these episodes and one by one, to be honest with you.
You're gonna have to. You'll be tired, but it'll be worth it.
Yeah, but that's great when you can when you know what your audience wants to see, and when you've like kind of figured that out. It's like, okay, well, I know I like this and they like that too. Great, So, it's just picking and choosing and trying not to overwhelm yourself with.
And you never know. That's the problem with new stuff. That's never
true.
know.
You never know. Yeah, like I remember Bridgerton. I was so excited to cover it, but I did not know if it was going to do anything because I hadn't really heard anything about it before. And I put out my review and I was like, whoa, people love this. This is incredible. Okay, great. Thank God.
Yeah.
It's always nice when it's like something like pops off and you're like, whoa, okay, great. Now I know I can do that in the future.
Yes, exactly. But then everybody knows it's popular, and then everybody covers it for season 2, and you're like, great, thanks for the competition, guys.
See, and I don't mind when they creep up at like episode 5, like, hey, I've been turning up every week, so it's cool. Come through. I'm cool with that. That's kind of what happened with me with Superman and Lois. Like, I was like, dude, this is a CW wonkers. Like, nobody's gonna enjoy this.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks in, I was like, wow, this might.
I didn't start until, and I think you told me. Or I saw one of your tweets, or we talked about it or something, and you were like, no, yes, it's totally worth watching. And now I'm like, I think 4 episodes in, and I kind of stopped because I want my husband to watch it with me. I'm like, no, you're going to like it. I know it's like, forget that it's CW, and then sit down and watch it with me, and you'll like it.
Yeah. I think CW gets a bad rap. They got some good stuff. Nancy Drew's really good. Flash was good for a while. I don't know how it is anymore, but Flash was really good in the beginning. I haven't been watching. But...
So I back in, I think it was 2018, I sat and binged the whole Arrowverse. I was just like, you know what? I'm sick of being out of the conversation. I'm just going to go through all Arrow, all of Flash. I think it was only 2 seasons of Legend at the time, 2 seasons of Supergirl. So this was a little while ago. But I said, I am going to just catch up, join the conversation, because I just want to be a part of this fandom. After finishing that, I don't think I have continued any of them. None of them.
Oh my gosh.
that was pure torture to watch it all back to back. And so maybe that's a good week to week. Like,
you're right. Well, I haven't watched any of those. I haven't done it. And
I really loved The Flash. But I only got up till, I didn't get as far as they are now. Like, but the first like 2 or 3 seasons are like really, really good. After that, I'm not sure.
And they have a pattern. They have a pattern of that. It's like their first season is usually really strong. Then you get to 2 and 3, and they might be just as good. They might be significantly weaker. You get about after 3 seasons, and you're like, man, sorry for the spoiler, but they up here on The Flash singing. This ain't Glee, y'all. I cannot do this. And
but I love that. So that's something I would like. I love a musical. I love a musical
there's
number.
A few episodes.
Ooh, more than one. Yay.
Too funny. Now, for you guys, I'd love to hear what do you prefer? Like, what are like the pros and cons of the binge watch, the weekly watch, the hybrid methods? Like, is there one that you like better, or are you like, oh, what about physical media though? You know, like there's a lot of different ways that we can consume stuff. So I'm curious, do you guys have one that you prefer?
I've given up on physical media. I'll tell you that. I still get stuff sometimes, but to like have them, but I don't think I've turned on it. I don't think I have a DVD player. We use the PlayStation if we're going to put anything on. Yeah. And it's only like we went back and watched, it was Harry Potter. And we went back and we watched them because we had the discs to show my girls that. And then I realized we could have put them on streaming. And I was like, that was a waste of trying to find the DVDs. So physical media, I don't still get them just because I'm like, what if the internet breaks and I'll never get to watch these again? Knock on wood. But, physical media is out there
like,
for
this
me.
is the caveman times of using a disc. What's this?
Yeah. And I'm like, you used to have to press record on a VCR if you wanted to watch something later. How about a tape? They wouldn't even know what that is. So, but streaming wise, I guess just for work wise, I prefer week to week because it's easier, like we said, to cover. But then there's certain stuff like I'll love to sit down and binge. Like I was super late to the party on For All Mankind, and my husband and I just recently binged it all. And we, in like a week, watched all seasons 1 and 2, which was great. But now I'm like, I want more. Like we gotta wait. I don't know, when it's gonna come out next. So I think it depends on the type of show too. Like a comedy, I can sit and watch a whole season, like Ted, right? Like Ted Lasso. Definitely sit down, watch the whole thing, whatever. The Central Park, I can sit down and watch all of that. But then more heavy stuff, I want to take it in and soak it in. And I think that's something I love with all the Marvel stuff, because you really explore the episode and I think you appreciate it more and the story and the plot points more. Whereas, think about WandaVision, if you just blasted through it, this is where they're really at. This is what's going on. This is what's happening. We all knew it was Agatha Harkness anyway, but it's Agatha. You just kind of skip over a lot of the
we definitely would not have had as many theories if we had gotten to binge it all at once. There was like so many theories going on the internet, and it was like, nope, none of that. But
none of it.
Thank you for
not one.
The show.
Who would have thought about Ralph Boner? Never. I love it. It's my favorite part of WandaVision.
I'm sitting here every week with a magnifying glass like, Dottie, who are you?
I know, and she was nobody.
I was like, Dottie? Who's Dottie?
She's just Dottie. Her name was like Sarah or something, right?
Yeah, I'm like, really? They had to go do that, man. We sitting up here thinking she's part of the X-Men or something. Emma Frost. Like, we're just throwing out names like, hey, she's some mutant, and then she just ends up being Sarah.
What about you, Leo?
So I actually just got back into physical collecting. Love physical collecting again. I'm back into Funkos, and so I'm like, yes, like physical. Give me the physical copy. I do prefer like the metal. I do prefer like the steel books. Yeah, that was in there. Steel books. I prefer those, and then also like the Criterion and the more like artsy covers and the Target exclusive. Like I really like the kind of collector's edition of those things. I'm not gonna rush out and grab the regular Blu-ray. I'm gonna get like the 10. I'm gonna get the steel book, something that like is like you got a limited copy. So I like the collecting aspect of it. I don't think I necessarily have a preference on the binge or week to week model. Like you, Tessa, it's like, thank God this is week to week because I have some time. I'm like, honestly, I'm praying that Cobra Kai is week to week. I'm just like, please,
It could
like,
be.
roll it out week to week so it could be so much easier on us. But I really like them both, to be honest. I like the access to having a full season. I like the week to week, but I think, like you, Tessa, it does depend on the show because WandaVision, Invincible, those are shows that the drops at the end of the episodes are so huge that it's like, wow, getting to wait a week, you get to talk all throughout the week, theorize what's going to happen type of deal. And it's just so, like, it's so well done when it's a good property. And I think it really, again, like I was saying a bit earlier, I think it just really depends on the media itself, the writing, the pacing throughout the episode. Like, it just really depends on what you're dealing with here, because I feel like we're going to see a shift now that Disney Plus did this with Marvel. I think WandaVision was the turning point for all of it, because they saw how big of a conversation it was, and Mando was too. Obviously, the finale of season 2 was huge, but then you had WandaVision roll in right after that, and then create almost this phenomena type deal in terms of covering the content, talking about it, being on social media. It's just like a revolution. So I really think that people like Netflix, Hulu are going to start being like, "Hey guys, we got our big franchises. Let's go week to week."
I think you're right.
I do think it's a good idea for the big franchises. I personally prefer the binge watch because, contrary to you guys, I feel like too much pressure with the week to week. I would rather just be like, okay, let me binge this, and then it's done, and I don't have to look at it anymore. But I do think that I love the conversations that people can have when it's this big franchise that everyone's kind of invested in. Especially Tessa, as you mentioned, we're all home, like. It kind of like brings people together in a way to be able to like talk about these shows when, like, back in the day when we were doing this, there was no internet really to do that. So that's fun. I kind of like the idea that Netflix has been doing with the reality shows of the hybrid method, where it's like you can kind of binge, but you're also watching it week to week. Like, here's 3 episodes, embrace that, enjoy that, and then we'll see you next week for 3 more. I kind of like that a little bit because it's like you get a little bit of both. A little bit of both worlds. In terms of physical media, I like the idea of collecting, but then I'm trying to live a minimal life. So then I'm like, maybe I don't. Maybe I can't do this. There's all these cool covers and things you can get into, but it's just there's so much, and then I will just live this whole wall won't be blank anymore. It'll just be me in a pile of stuff because I'll be like, yes, I need it.
I collect too many other things to start collecting those. That's my problem. Like just today, I was talking to my husband about, because I pre-ordered all the Loki pops. And I was like, no more pops for a while, I promise. And then they dropped all the What If pops that are coming. And I'm like, I lied. Look at all the What If pops that are coming. And I need all of them. Sorry,
Yeah, I try to save my collecting for like conventions. I'll be like, okay,
that's good.
Now I need all of these ones. Okay, but then I'll take a break, and then well, now I need these ones. So, but they're all at my family.
See, my problem is if I get one Funko, I need like all of them, the whole collection. That's
okay. See, I'm kind of different. I'm kind of like, I want the rare ones. Like, I don't really want this is Wanda Maximoff. Like, I want this is the glow in the dark Vision. This is I want them exclusive drops.
I got like a whole bunch of Groots, like glow in the dark hand Groot, dancing Christmas Groot. They're just so cute. It's just like you can't stop. They're so adorable.
I have a Funko problem.
Yeah, and the What Ifs dropped.
Oh yeah, I've seen people get like the custom made ones that look like themselves, and I'm like, okay, I would get that.
I have one.
Cool.
Really?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, my friend made them for our little. We formed a little group right before the world ended. We all hung out, and then we had like a Facebook chat group. And because the world ended, we all were just in there talking to each other. And then he sent everyone custom ones, which was so sweet. So I have a Tessa pop.
That is awesome. Do you have it by you?
It's like way back there.
Oh.
You can kind of see it. Here, wait. Look at my finger. It's that one.
Oh, awesome.
In the box?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like my head. It's in the dress I wore to his wedding. It's cute. I think there's a picture on Instagram if you go back far.
Oh, that's awesome. And I want to bring up really quick a comment from Ron Smith. What's up, Ron? Who says, what are your thoughts on how binging and streaming has revived old franchises like Avatar: The Last Airbender? Now the show's even coming.
Yo, I am so into iCarly right now, so yes. Loving that. Like, it is bringing back these old shows. Yes, like you were saying, Avatar: The Last Airbender, iCarly's coming back. Some of the revivals have been good, some of them not so much. But look, it really does depend on the property. But yeah, like, psyched. Bring back Eric. Look, bring it all back. Hey Arnold. Like, I'll take new seasons of any of them. Well, can't do Drake and Draw, excuse me. But I'm thinking about some of the other ones. Zoe 101. Like, bring those back. Like, bring them back in a week to week. And I feel like if it is a classic bring back, you got to go back to the week to week. You can't just give it all to us and be like, here you go. Like, no. Week to week, that sucker.
Yeah, because we had to do that back then. So make us relive it. Really feel it.
Yeah. Okay, what's a show you each want to come back?
Ooh. I would say Boy Meets World because that was like my favorite, but we got Girl Meets World, so I don't know if that really counts. Boy Meets World. I know. I didn't even watch it. What does that say? See, I wanted Boy Meets World. I don't want Girl Meets World.
Okay, so the ones that I was just like, this didn't work. Fuller House. Girl Meets World. Sorry, Raven's House.
Yeah, that's not either.
People like it though. I think it's still doing well.
Is it?
It is. It's doing well. That was just a personal preference.
He's like, it's doing well, but it's not good.
What did they recently revive on Peacock?
Saved by the Bell. I
Didn't
loved that. I thought it was really good.
I didn't watch it. See, I love Saved by the Bell. But I.
You know what? I thought this was so good that every time they brought in the old cast, I was like, go away. Like, I want to see the new cast.
Really?
I really liked them. I thought it was really good.
All right. Well, maybe I'll have to watch it then because I loved Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, I really liked it. And if I could have any show come back, I mean, I already talked about it before, but Degrassi, I've been watching it. This is the 20th anniversary of Degrassi, The Next Generation this year.
That's crazy.
And like, I want another generation. You know, we got the 80s people. Now we got the 2000s. Like, I'm ready for another generation. Whose kid is going to be in the school now? Like, I'm ready for it.
Probably Drake's decked out with a lot of stuff at this point because homie was just Jimmy on Degrassi and then became Drake. Man.
Oh my gosh. I would love to see it.
So one show,
I know.
Okay, I'm a sucker for this, and I know it probably won't. Well, you can't bring that back because I was gonna say Fresh Prince, but Uncle Phil's gone. I don't think that.
Back. Well, there's like the reboot of it.
Yeah, that like kind of more serious. I like that because then you're not bringing back Will and all them without Uncle Phil. The reunion was nice, but maybe don't bring that back. Like Friends, don't. Reunion was enough.
Friends. No. Oh, that makes me mad.
I'm trying to think.
It's hard because it would have to be pulled off really well.
For me, Zoe 101. I think that's kind of in line with iCarly, where it was kind of left a little bit out in the open. So you have room to bring it back. I don't think those actors are too busy. Now, I can't speak for all of them, but I don't think they're all that busy. So it's like usher them back in. Like, yo, that'd be cool to just like look at it 10 years later of where their life is now. And I like what they're doing with iCarly, kind of keeping things the same in the core, but also introducing adult themes and problems. Bring it back in that fashion where it's the same kind of vibe, but have more adult problems now and more problems that are relatable to us at this age now.
What was that one show? Alex Mack? Was that what it was called?
Oh,
she could like that. Yeah. Right. Where she like had powers and.
Yes, she turned into the goop and she like
the goop.
Yeah. Around.
I used to like that show. Well, you're missing out, Leo. Probably not. I bet if you revisited it, it was probably not good, but I enjoyed it.
You know what needed to come back? Come on now. Lizzie McGuire.
Oh,
why did they do that?
I'm so upset. That's like the one show that I'm so upset it's not coming back.
I know.
I am upset.
Up so good. I rewatched it like maybe the beginning of the quarantine, and oh my god, I was like, this is amazing. I need more. And I was just like, there's only 2 seasons, which is crazy.
Is there only 2?
Yeah, 2 seasons and then the movie, which I think the movie takes place like technically in the middle of like the 2nd season, and then they continue going to school. So I'm like,
oh,
like they, you know what it was? I think there was like issues with more. Like, I think there was issues with like her wanting more money and they didn't want to like give it to her and something like that.
Didn't they say it was too adult as well? And they're like, well, we don't want to lean that way.
I mean, put it on Hulu then, or put it on Disney Star or whatever. Like, right. I want to see it.
Exactly.
I'm so sad. Oh, that would have been so good.
And I think they had some episodes like finalized. Like, I think they had one or two of them ready to go. And
maybe
then they were just like, pull the plug.
Make their way to the internet and we'll like be able to see them.
Right.
Maybe one day someone will like leak it.
Fingers crossed.
I just want to see it.
Have y'all heard of, this is totally off topic and I apologize, but have y'all ever heard of Star Wars Episode 3.5, The Editor Strikes Back?
No.
So this is like a 30, Topher Grace, yes, from that 70s show, cut together all three of the prequels, and he cut them down, all three of them, to 30 minutes. It was this half-hour epic of like all of them cut together, all the fat trimmings cut out of each movie down to 30 minutes. I think somebody said there was like 2 or 3 minutes, the mall battle from the first one, and then there was just so barely anything else. Man, people rant and rave. Only 3 people got to see it. He showed it at a convention. I don't think it was SDCC, but he showed it at some convention. 30 people saw it, and then they wiped the disc on spot. They're like, yep, okay, that's it.
What?
And there's a video of like 3 guys in a parking lot talking about it. They're like, this is magnificent. Like, the way they're talking about it is like, dude, somebody should have got that cut. I'm hoping they do that with Lizzie McGuire. Like, somebody get the flash drive.
Yeah. Just release it and then get rid of it after. It's fine.
Yeah. Too funny.
Hook this up.
Gosh. So, wrapping things up with our conversation about streaming, you know, Netflix and Hulu have really dominated the streaming game, but now there's so many streaming platforms. So a couple of questions. 1, which ones are your favorite? Which one do you think is like, you know, peak streaming, has the best stuff? And 2, do you feel like, you know, media companies are kind of like just turning streaming down to the new cable? You kind of have to have a million channels, a million streaming platforms to watch everything. Like, can that last? What do you guys think?
Disney Plus is my favorite, but that's just because of Marvel and because I'm a dork and I love all the old Disney stuff. I think it can last because I mean, they're all determined to get their own money. And I think eventually, I mean, we have, every time there's a new one, we get it to try it out and see what's on it, or even wait like 6 months, see what builds onto it and then get it. And I think everyone's super smart and they all want their own money. And so they're going to hold their own properties to themselves now. You know, like you see, like all the Marvel stuff was taken off Netflix and all this sort of stuff. So unfortunately, I think it can last because they're all greedy and they all want their own platform. And if you want to see their stuff, you're going to have to get their thing. That's what I think.
So I got a question for y'all. You remember Quibi?
I mean, barely, about this much.
I think if you're not a giant and you're not backed by a giant, you're out. I think if you're not like Warner Media or Netflix, obviously, and Hulu, they got into the game first, so they're good. But if you're not like somebody like Peacock, you got backing from a big media company, you're probably out of the game. Discovery ended up having to merge with HBO Max just to stay in the game. So I think it's only like it's big players only. Like if you're a big studio, big media company, and then didn't Amazon just buy MGM? Did that finalize?
Did it finalize? I know it was like.
Yeah, I know they were going for it. Like they were really trying. I think Apple had tried before, but it's just like you're starting to see even studios get kind of sucked up into these streaming services. That's another one, Amazon, backed by a huge company. I just think now it's too late if you're like a Netflix and I kind of want to come up and like, no, too late. But if you're a big media company, like, yes, and they're staying around. HBO Max. My favorite is Disney Plus and HBO Max. Those two are just.
HBO Max is good too.
Yeah, HBO Max has such an extensive library of movies. And then whenever they drop an original like Lovecraft Country, why did they cancel that, y'all? Why? It does well. And so, yeah, to answer your question, yeah, I think they're here to stay. The big tentpole ones. Them smaller ones, though, they out of here. And then in anime, you got Crunchyroll and Funimation. And I just feel like everybody who is established is here to stay. But any Quibi, you saw what happened there. All their stuff rolled to Roku.
With all original stuff, forget it. It's not going to work.
Yeah, and see, Roku's another one. They've got a physical product that backs them. So it's just like, if you don't have another business backing you, probably not going to work except if you're Sony and Crackle just sucks. Then otherwise, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I think both of you are right. Like, I feel like what you're saying, Leo, of just like, if you're not a big thing, like a big company, like you're not going to last. And maybe that's for the best so that we don't all have to have like 35 like apps that we're paying money to. But maybe like, you know, a solid 5 of them will be like the breadwinners and these other ones will get like sucked up into them. Like you mentioned with like Discovery and stuff. Just because that, yeah, like the whole reason people got off of cable was because it's like, oh, you have to pay for all this stuff. And it's like, well, now you have to pay for all this stuff too. And it's all individual. And it's like, realistically, how much do you really watch of what's on Netflix and what's on Hulu and what's on HBO Max? Like, you can't possibly watch everything. So then you're paying all this money and you're not even really going to get to enjoy all of it because it's just like physically impossible. And so I think that, like, you know, maybe something will go on where like more like of these bigger companies will start, you know, either trying to put all of their properties into something like, you know, any, I don't know, let's say like, I don't know, like NBC, like with Peacock, anything under the, like that NBC Universal umbrella up there versus, you know, like how Marvel used to have stuff at Netflix. Okay, well now we'll take everything we have and stick it under here. Otherwise, so it'll be more like these corporations have their own app versus like all these other smaller companies, which I think makes sense. You know, that's their properties. Now you're just giving us a library to watch it in. But you know, I also don't want to pay for 100.
Right.
And see, that's why Netflix is smart by picking up specific shows that are like getting kind of dumped off, like Cobra Kai. Like they're like scooping up some of the stuff. I'm kind of hoping that maybe Lovecraft Country can just bloop right on over to Netflix or Amazon or somebody.
It's gotta go somewhere.
Somewhere. I mean, it was so successful. Y'all just gonna let go of that?
I don't know. That makes 0 sense to me.
Yeah.
Do you guys think Netflix is kind of in trouble with all this stuff getting pulled away from it, back to Paramount, to HBO Max, all these services? Do you guys think Hulu and Netflix?
I don't think so, because I feel like a lot of their success is with original programming. Like, I mean, you know, people were binge watching The Office, but like, other than that, like, I feel like I think a lot of their stuff that is successful is their like new projects. So,
and they're doing like a movie a week for the whole year or something crazy. It might not all be good. They definitely aren't all good, but they're throwing them out there, like seeing what sticks. You know?
They're building like a bunch of different like boxes in Netflix. You have the like cheesy Christmas movies that parallel like Lifetime and Hallmark, and then you have like, you know, the big Halloween stunts that they do. You know, they do like things that I think rival other places well. So they can kind of do a little bit of everything, which is nice. Whereas like, you know, there's some platforms, or not even platforms, just some like networks where it's like, okay, the CW, you kind of know like what their niche is, or like MTV, you know what their niche is. But like Netflix, you could have literally anything on there. And I think that's, you know, the appeal of a lot of these platforms. But I think for some of these upcoming ones, it's like, okay, well, what backlog do they have? Whereas like Netflix, I think I'm still like very excited about their new stuff, you know?
Their anime is huge. They're taking off in anime, original movies, and shows. Like they're just once a week, I think, y'all. Is it once a week now?
Yeah. So I mean, is there anything else that you guys want to add to our streaming conversation that we haven't talked about yet?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. You're able to find all the information and links to Pop Culture Planet and our guests below. But if you want to follow Tessa and Leo, do you guys want to share where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
You can just find me Mama's Geeky everywhere. MAMASGEEKY, mamasgeeky.com, and on all social media.
Awesome. Leo?
And then you can find me at Geekly Goods on YouTube, Leo Rydel on Twitter, and Leo.Rydel on Instagram and TikTok.
Perfect.
And follow him on TikTok because he's so good on TikTok. I don't even do TikTok, but I just watch his TikTok.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. TikTok
is everywhere. He's good everywhere.
Yeah. Tessa, it's because of you, because you inspire me so much all the time. Like, you don't know, you inspire me a lot. So I appreciate that coming from you.
Oh, you're so good.
Now, if you guys are interested in following the podcast, you can follow me pretty much everywhere at Kmaldo or the show at Pop Cult Planet. You can also support the podcast with your very own Pop Culture Planet merch. We got sweaters, t-shirts, stickers, all at teespring.com/stores/Kmaldo. And you can catch new episodes of the show every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. EST. And if you watch the live video version of Pop Culture Planet on my channel, youtube.com/Kmaldo, you can join in the conversation in real time. Stick around for the Q&A at the end of this show that's not in the audio podcast. Episodes are available on all of your favorite podcast listening platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. And if you enjoyed the episodes, consider subscribing so you know when a new one's posted. Rate and review this podcast and share with your fellow pop culture lovers. Thanks for listening. It's been a blast, and I'll talk to you next week. All right, now we have a couple of comments that have come in, so we're going to backtrack a little bit. Let's see. We got a comment from Marcel who says, some people took their time and are just now getting started with WandaVision 2. The possibilities are endless, and it's a huge win for the fans. Yeah.
First off, shout out Loretto. Much love, homies. Good friend.
Oh, that's your friend. Oh, awesome. Thank you for joining. But yeah, I agree. I think the perk also of the fact that, you know, we're getting these weekly shows and weekly discussions is that it kind of even goes beyond a week. It's like, oh, now everyone's still talking about it, you know, even after it's over still, because that momentum has kept going. So now people are like finding shows that maybe they wouldn't have found before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think this was kind of the same with Invincible. Seen a lot of people like, oh, I'm going to kind of wait until it's all, and just get, when they're done in that final episode, they're just like, oh my God, like, you're like, welcome to the fandom.
You understand. You get it. Good.
Yes.
Come join us.
Too funny. And then Ron says, this was in terms of talking about Stranger Things dropping week to week. I think there would be backlash from it if they did that. I can see fans of Stranger Things feeling like we want all of it now. Which I definitely think that there would be backlash, but I think people would still watch it.
Of course.
And, you know, Mark says, you know, by the end of the day, the fans are going to watch regardless because the Stranger Things fandom is huge, which...
Yeah, they're not going to be like, forget it, I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, they'll just be like very upset that it's you know, a lot of waiting, which I could see. I'm sure that I'm going to feel the same way. But if they do it, I think it would perform really well.
They'll be vocal about being angry as they watch it, so they'll still watch it.
Yeah, that's gonna be that initial backlash. Oh my God, I have to wait week to week, and then they'll be after episode 1 is done. Oh my God, I can't wait for the next week, y'all.
Well, if you think about it, people were like that with like Mandalorian, and and people were mad. Like, what are you doing, dropping this?
Well, like, you gotta get used to it, you know, this new. Yeah. You gotta get used to it again. Going back to the olden times when we had to wait.
Yeah. The olden times.
The olden times when we were cave people and we had to wait for episodes to drop.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask you guys, do you think it worked for Mando season 1? I think it kind of worked, but it was like
I think it took a while to get. Yeah. I think it was honestly. I think a lot of people waited and watched the whole thing, and then are like, oh, okay, like then got into it, and then we're like, okay with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like Mando season 1, it didn't seem to be like a week to week. Well, it kind of was, depending, but like it didn't seem like the masses were talking about it week to week. Oh, I'll just wait until that's like now it's like they're used to it.
Right. By the time WandaVision came around, no one was even.
Yeah, I think people got used to it quickly. Of just like, oh, okay, I guess I have to wait. I don't want to wait, but I'll wait.
Right. I don't want to wait, but I want to watch this, so I guess I have to wait.
Yeah. And then we got another comment from Ron. I believe this was in regards to you, Leo, saying that you watched all of Arrowverse.
Oh, man.
You're a brave man, Leo.
Ron, that was probably about 8 seasons, man, and it was grueling.
It's hard when it's like almost an hour-long show. It's like, oh my gosh, this is so many hours to watch. I can't do it.
And there was 21 episodes a season, y'all. It was like,
that's a struggle. Do you guys prefer like the shorter now seasons where it's like 7 to like maybe 10 episodes a season, or do you miss that 21?
I think the show, like I think around 10 is a good. It depends on the show too. It really does depend on the show. Like a half-hour comedy, sure, like 15 of them or so. I think over 15 is a bit pushing it, but you know the other stuff. Like I would have loved a couple more episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier just to like flesh stuff out more.
Even WandaVision, like these shows are like what, 6 episodes? It's to me that seems a little short.
WandaVision was 9, but that's because the first 3 were like 10 minutes long without credits. They were like so short.
Cause like those first 3, I think they were supposed to be one episode, and Kevin was like, nah, chop that up.
Right, because it would have been, I think you're exactly right, because it would have been just about an hour probably, right? Yeah. Really, without credits?
Yeah, and I think those first few episodes were 20 apiece, like 20.
Yeah, and the credits were like 15 minutes.
Yeah, the credits were so long. Oh my God. Then every episode, it's like, is this an extended scene? Is that why it's so long? Nope. It's
right. Well, you wait because you're used to those end credit scenes and mid credit scenes, so you're watching the whole thing too. It's like Marvel, you're killing me.
The main villain of WandaVision was "Please stand by." I know. Seriously.
Oh my gosh, so true. But I think also some of it is like a little psychological of like when there's 10 episodes, you feel like, oh, I finished a season and now I can go to the next thing. When there's like 20, it's like, this is taking so long. Like 10 feels like a good number. 6 to 10 to me, I'm like, great, because like then you accomplish something, finish that season. Now we'll do the next one.
Yeah, like my husband and I are talking about rewatching Smallville because they've announced and know they're gonna have this animated Smallville coming up, which is super exciting. But like, and we loved Smallville, but I sat down and I'm like, there's like 22 episodes a season and we gotta watch 10 seasons? Are you kidding me? This is gonna take forever.
Yeah, the only reason I feel like I've been able to get through the Degrassi is because the episodes are like 20 minutes. I'm like, oh, this is great. I've basically gotten through 13 seasons technically already, but it feels quicker because it's like 20 minutes, not an hour. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. See that when it's like 20 minutes, perfect. Y'all can go for 20 episodes a season. That's fine. But like when it's a 45 plus, and what suffered from that a lot was those Netflix Marvel shows. I think they're second or third seasons in some cases. It was like, guys, we are 13 episodes into this. This is dragging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They were trying to there was too many like filler episodes, just give us the plot. That's what I like about these Marvel shows is like, yes, I would have liked some more stuff, but at the same time, they're getting the job done. They know what the point is to accomplish, and they're doing it in 6 episodes, and then they are done and moving on.
I think that what we've kind of taken away from this is that you don't need to stick to the mold. You could make us binge watch. You can have 1 episode a week. You could have, 8 episodes, 7 episodes, 6. They could be 20 minutes, 40 minutes. Change it up to whatever fits the show. I think that's really what it comes down to is whatever the makes most sense for the franchise or the show that you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's different every time. It doesn't always have to be here's 21 or 22 whatever episodes in this season that are this long.
Exactly.
It's more flexible than that, which is nice.
Yeah. Do what fits for your show.
Yeah.
I actually think WandaVision could have been the 6th episode and Loki could have been the 9.
I know, but I think there's a season 2 of Loki coming. So. They confirmed it before and then took away that they confirmed it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sure there's a season 2 coming up. So that's probably part of why there's 6 episodes.
You know what they'll do? They'll end it, and then the last scene we see is Loki will be back in Loki season 2. Come on, y'all, do it, Marvel. Hype us up.
So. I really wanted that the Scarlet Witch will return in Doctor Strange 2. I can't believe they didn't do that. That was a missed opportunity, Kevin Feige, who usually knows what you're doing.
Too funny. And then we have Weekly is a godsend because I honestly don't have time to binge nowadays. With Weekly, I can watch that lone episode and feel comfort that I'm caught up with everyone else.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. I think as a content creator, we all kind of have a different perspective looking in at it. And it's just easier on us, depending on what kind of content you cover. It's easier one way or the other. The pendulum just kind of tends to swing either way. But on these big Invincible and WandaVision, yes, I week to week thank the Lord, a blessing.
Well, the other thing is we got social media now. People ruin stuff. Like I said, I watch stuff at 9 a.m. Eastern time on whatever day drops, like Wednesdays for Loki. I cannot go on Twitter or Facebook or even YouTube. I have to open up to my studio, the link to my studio, because if I go to just youtube.com, I can get ruined. And it's people, it's been out for 6 hours and it was the middle of the night. It stinks.
Yeah.
Not to mention they do it before too. So, okay, I got a list, y'all. I got a list. WandaVision, I was spoiled for the mid-season. Evan Peters, spoiled. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, spoiled for the finale with the reveal of the Power Broker. Mortal Kombat, spoiled with who won between Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Spoiled in Godzilla vs. Kong, Mechagodzilla showing up. Spoiled in, let's see, I actually got spoiled for No Way Home.
No, don't tell me.
Oh, I'm not saying a word.
I will kill you.
But how do you know that one's a real one?
I mean, you don't, but you could.
I look, after the Funko drops and what I saw in that spoiler, I'm like, oh man, I did not want to see that.
See, I hate that.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why, like, I don't know though, because that could go to like you want to binge it, so then you can't get spoiled. I don't know. It's a mess.
All I gotta say is, y'all, just don't search WandaVision, Loki, all that. Don't do
mute
it.
Everything.
Yeah, mute everything.
Over.
It's crazy.
We have a last comment here from Ron, who says, Disney Plus and Netflix are my favorites, but just like Leo said, only a few can survive in the streaming war. HBO Max even brought Crunchyroll to get the anime fans in.
Yeah.
And you know what kind of sucks is that, like, that HBO Max Crunchyroll deal, they only got like a few anime shows. It's like, y'all didn't even get like the tentpole, like Full Metal Alchemist, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z. Y'all didn't get the tentpole anime. Like, come on, y'all. But yeah, I mean, these streaming giants are they'll be around forever, most likely. This is the change in the industry. Cable is about kind of knocking on the grave now. Like,
yeah. I mean, and then I guess the next thing will just be like, we'll go so far in the future, we'll be like in the movie.
Yeah, like
VR
headset thing. Yeah.
It'll be like, you know, that's the next level maybe.
It's like Tron.
Too funny.
Well, that's crazy.
All right, well, to wrap things up, as Ron said here, great show, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me. And it was so great to meet you guys in person and just chat. This was really fun.
Yeah, it was so fun. I know. I always feel like I know people. Like even when I see them for the first time, I'm like, "Hi, I know you," because I see your face. And
right.
Like I feel like I know you.
You're like, I see you on social media, so hey, what's going on, bestie?
I know.
Yeah. So this is great. Thank you so much for joining me. And like I said to everyone else, we'll see y'all later next week.